I'm Bob Duncan, the technical editor of Saw Woodworking Crafts magazine. As a technical editor, one of my responsibilities is to find new tools that relate to scroll saws and woodworking in general, check them out, and see if they're worth the money. For many scroll saws, the table saw is scary, and you really have good reason to be scared. Everybody's heard horror stories about people being seriously injured by kickback or getting a serious cut. That's a shame because the table saw really is the foundation of a good woodworking shop. With the table saw, you can make straight cuts, angled cuts, cuts with the grain, cuts against the grain. Luckily, the SawStop has gone out of the way to make this useful tool a lot less scary. So here we have the new SawStop Jobsite Saw that literally folds up to the size of a wheelbarrow. John is opening it up. Literally press the button down with your foot, bring it down, and to close it back up, it's just as easy. Hold down the lever with your foot and crank it back into place. It literally moves itself. Now let's take a walk around the saw and look at a few of the different features that it boasts. The first is a handle to raise and lower the blade. And we'll show you later, but the blade literally can be raised and lowered with one revolution of the handle. Next to it's the on-off switch, and there is the switch to activate it, and there's actually the big red section there is actually the button to turn it off and on, so you can literally use your knee to turn it off if need be. A great safety feature. Moving over to the side here, we have storage for the fence, and I'll show you the fence in more detail later, but the fence rides along, it's always within easy reach, which makes it very convenient to use. Now moving around the back, you can see the integrated dust collection. We have an adapter to fit our dust collector on it, but it's a standard 2-inch diameter dust collection nozzle, and it really does collect 90% of the dust that comes out of it. And beside it, I'll zoom in a little bit here, is onboard storage for the wrenches to change the blades. On the front, there's a lever here to extend the table, which is nice if you're cutting large sheets. And once you extend the table, it literally pulls right out, giving you a greater surface area to work on, and you lock it back down with that lever. Once you've extended it, it opens up another storage area here on the top. You pull this section out, open it up, and there's onboard storage for the miter fence, blade guard and riving knife and anti-kickback device. And there's a spot here for the riving knife, which we actually have installed on the saw at this time, and I will show you that in a second. And now John is going to crank the blade up to show you how fast it goes up. Literally, it was at the lowest position and it went to the top position that fast. And you can see behind the blade is a riving knife that'll help prevent kickback when you're cutting pieces that are too tall for you to use the blade guide that I showed you earlier. Now to change between the riving knife and the blade guard, it's really simple as well. John's going to do it real quick for us. And that's how quick you can switch between the blade guard and the riving knife. The next nice feature about this saw is the ripping fence. A lot of times on the contractor grade or the portable saws, the ripping fence really suffers in quality. This ripping fence not only is a good quality, solidly built, it's literally locks into place with the press of a button. You can literally press a button, slide it around, press it, and it's solid from front to back. There's no wiggle, no moving around, and you can take it off just as easily as you put it on. Today I'm going to demonstrate the most distinct safety feature of the SawStop, the blade brake. This unit instantly engages whenever the blade touches flesh. As an editor, my fingers are important to me, so instead of using my fingers, I'm going to substitute a hot dog. Now, the way this this saw works, the thing about this saw that makes it great is that it literally, if it senses skin of any sort, it'll slam a brake into the blade, drop the blade the whole way down to the table. So you basically keeps you from amputating any body parts. The way it does this is it sends a slight electric charge to the blade, and there's a computer down there that reads that charge. If that charge changes because it touches skin, because of the moisture in your skin, it'll change the electric charge. That's when it triggers the brake and slams it down. What happens if you're cutting wet wood, green wood or something like that? Well, there's a sensor on the front that once you've turned it on and it boots up, you can put the wood up against it. It'll tell you if the wood is too wet to use and if it'll trip a false positive and break and destroy your blade. There, the sensor is flashing saying that it's wet wood because I'm touching it with my finger. But if you're not touching it and you use a dry piece of wood, I'm just going to use this. Use a shop broom. A dry piece of wood touching it doesn't trip the sensor. Now here's the moment everybody's been waiting for. We're going to test this system to see how it works. I've got some other people from the Fox Chapel staff here with me just because I figured this would be pretty dramatic, so I want to have an audience. Now here's the saw. Here's the hot dog I'm going to use. Bring it along. Woo!
Whoa!
And that was even more dramatic than I expected.
Man, that's scary.
Any damage?
I can't find any damage on the hot dog.
Oh my gosh.
So let's bring the blade up and see what it looks like. So this is what it looks like after the brake engages. You can see that it did destroy the blade, but I don't know about you, but even the most expensive blade is still a lot cheaper than my finger. So you have to when you're done, you need to replace the blade and you'll need to replace the brake cartridge. The brake cartridge can only be used once. But I think it's a small price to pay for saving a finger. So that's the SawStop.